Whether we're working with a buyer or a home seller, one of the most important things we have to get people is perspective about the marketplace, especially with home sellers. Perspective on appreciation or depreciation. So this set of videos is really going to walk people through the awareness, just a wake-up call. We're going to give them some illustrations where the homeowner all of a sudden realizes, oh my gosh, it may not be worth what I think it's worth. And that's what this series of videos is going to do for you, is how do we equip the seller with visuals. Additionally, with buyers who think who need some understanding of the marketplace. So I recommend this presentation I'm going to show to you also be done in your buyer presentation. It will add a lot more value than in a competitive edge when you're trying to pick up a buyer and they're interviewing different agents or non-committal agents. This kind of presentation will get people solidified that they want to utilize you for the buy or the sell. So what's our greatest challenge in the marketplace? That if we're talking about sellers, for example, and that is generally they think their house is worth more than it is. The darkness of depreciation didn't hit their doorstep. And if it did, it wasn't so bad. And so that's what some people think. Or that my home appreciated, and it may have, but a lot of times their estimate is it appreciated too much. It really didn't go as high as they thought, but that's what they're thinking, that my house is up here, when in reality it's down here somewhere. So we're going to walk you through a few videos that helps demonstrate the concept of minor appreciation, significant, none whatsoever, or depreciation or significant depreciation. All right, here we go. The first one I'm going to talk about is what part of a house does actually appreciate. I want you to think about your home and all the lumber that's in it. If you have an attic, just look up there. Tremendous amount of lumber. Let's say your house was built a few years back in the year, let's say 2000. What's the cost of lumber and labor right now to rebuild your property? And think about the basement, how much wood is in the rafters and the floorboards. And think about between every single wall, you could gut a house and leave the lumber, even if it was built in 1950, because the lumber is probably in pristine condition. In addition, the labor cost to put it in back in the 1950s was extremely low. So what we're driving at here is there's so much lumber in a property, and it generally appreciates in almost any economy because the cost of lumber and labor goes up year after year. There's other things, the infrastructure of a property. You might say if it has copper plumbing. Well, what we know about copper plumbing is, in some parts of the country, is people steal it out of vacant properties. It's so valuable and the price is escalating so high. So again, that part of your infrastructure, these are called, these are features of a property. And these features actually appreciate. You start looking at electrical systems that are going to be in style for years and years and years because they're not making major changes in electrical. But if it was put in the year 2000, and similar technology that we're having in this time, then we know that that's part of your infrastructure. It's got nothing to do with style. Foundations, the same thing. That's the foundation pour of a basement. If you have them in your part of the country, that if it could be put in 1970, 80, 90, 2000, 2010, whatever it was put in, again, the cost of the material and the labor is continuing to go up. So good news, home sellers, that part of a property continues to appreciate. And so what we're doing is letting the seller know that even in the bad economy, part of their house appreciated. So we're going to wrap up this first slide talking about what part of a house appreciates and move on to our next part that illustrates depreciation.